The alien warships had appeared without warning, massive vessels that darkened the skies over every major city on Earth. Their technology was centuries beyond ours, their weapons capable of turning mountains into dust. When they first contacted our leaders, General Zervex of the Galactic Hegemony didn't even bother to hide his contempt. "Your pathetic excuse for a military is hardly worth our notice," he had announced to the United Nations Security Council, his towering figure projected in holographic form. "Your most advanced weapons are toys compared to what a hegemony child plays with. Surrender your planet's resources, and we might allow you to live as our servants." I was there that day, a lieutenant in what remained of the U.S. Army after our bases had been obliterated in the first wave. I watched as our generals stuttered and politicians trembled. They weren't wrong to be afraid. Within hours of their arrival, the aliens had disabled our nuclear capabilities, our satellites, our power grids, all without firing a single shot. The world's militaries scrambled to respond, but our jets were swatted from the sky like flies. Tanks melted under heat rays we couldn't even see. Our most elite special forces teams disappeared without a trace when they attempted to infiltrate landed alien craft. General Zervex gave humanity 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. Most of our leaders were ready to sign whatever terms they presented. But there was one small group who refused to accept defeat: scientists and military personnel who had been working on something in secret deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a project so classified that even the president had only heard rumors. I was transferred there on the second day of the invasion, escorted through tunnels that burrowed miles into the Earth's crust. The facility was unlike anything I'd ever seen, a blend of military base and high-tech laboratory, stretching across caverns large enough to house entire cities. "Lieutenant," my escort said, gesturing toward a massive reinforced door. "Welcome to Project Tremor." Inside, I saw it for the first time. A colossal machine, part mechanical, part biological, something that defied explanation. The chief scientist, a woman with eyes that burned with determination, walked me around the perimeter. "They think they know everything about us," she said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion evident on her face. "They've studied our weapons, our tactics, our technology. But they don't know about this. They don't know what we found down here." She pointed to monitoring stations where readings spiked and fluctuated. "We discovered it by accident 10 years ago. Have been preparing ever since, just in case a day like this arrived." Above us, General Zervex was preparing his victory speech. His ships hovered over our cities, weapons primed. He had no idea that beneath his feet, Earth was about to reveal its greatest secret. The countdown began. The massive machine hummed to life. And then, for the first time since the invasion, I felt something like hope. Because as the ground began to tremble, I knew the aliens were about to learn that Earth had never been defenseless. We had just been waiting for the right moment to fight back. The trembling started as a subtle vibration, barely perceptible. Then it grew, rumbling through the facility, rattling equipment, and sending dust cascading from the ceiling. The alien ships must have felt it too. On the monitors, we could see their massive vessels shifting position, scanners sweeping the ground below. "What exactly is this?" I asked, steadying myself against a console as the tremors intensified. The chief scientist, Dr. Chen, according to her badge, gave me a tight smile. 10 years ago, a mining operation in this region hit something that shouldn't have been there, something that wasn't on any geological survey. The drill bit didn't just break, it disappeared, along with 300 feet of reinforced shaft. On the largest screen, footage showed General Zervex's command ship repositioning over Denver, its weapons systems glowing with charged energy. "They're preparing to target us," someone shouted. "Let them try," Dr. Chen replied, her calm at odds with the chaos around us. "This facility is shielded in ways they can't detect. What matters is what's below us." She led me toward an observation deck overlooking an enormous cavern. Through the reinforced glass, I could see what looked like an excavation site the size of several football fields. But at its center wasn't rock or soil. It was something metallic, ancient yet somehow pristine, partially unearthed from the surrounding stone. "We didn't build this," I breathed, understanding dawning on me. "We found it." Dr. Chen nodded. "It was here before us. Long before. We've spent a decade studying it, learning its systems, preparing for integration. We always knew something was coming. We just didn't know when." The tremors reached a crescendo, and then suddenly stopped. In the silence that followed, the massive structure below began to emit a soft blue glow, pulsing like a heartbeat. "The hegemony isn't the first advanced species to find Earth," Dr. Chen explained. "But whoever came before them left us a gift, or a weapon. We're still not entirely sure which." Alarms blared as the facility's sensors detected energy buildups from the alien ships above. They were preparing to fire directly into the ground. "They've detected something," a technician called out. "Multiple ships converging on our position." Dr. Chen wasn't concerned. Instead, she handed me what looked like a neural interface headset. "Put this on. We need every military mind we can get. The system responds to human thought patterns, especially those trained in tactical thinking." I hesitated. "I'm just a lieutenant. I'm not qualified for." "None of us are qualified," she cut me off. "We've been piecing this together from fragments of an alien language and technology we barely understand. But we know this much. It was left for us to find when we needed it most." As I placed the headset over my temples, the blue glow intensified. Screens around the facility filled with symbols I shouldn't have been able to comprehend, but somehow did. Information flooded my consciousness: schematics, capabilities, tactical options that made our most advanced weapon systems look primitive. And I wasn't alone. Throughout the facility, military personnel were linking in, a network of human minds connecting to this ancient defense system. Through the mental link, I could sense it now, something vast and powerful awakening beneath not just this mountain, but mountains across the globe. Whatever these precursors had left behind, it wasn't just a weapon. It was an entire defense network, built into Earth itself. Above us, General Zervex gave the order to fire. The alien ship's main cannons charge, ready to obliterate everything below. And that's when the ground didn't just tremble, it moved with purpose. The mountain itself seemed to shudder, then split apart, not collapsing, but transforming. Massive panels of rock slid away, revealing gleaming metal beneath the natural facade. The alien ship's energy weapons discharged, the blinding beams striking what should have been solid ground. Instead, they hit something else entirely: a shield that absorbed the devastating energy without a trace. Through my neural link, I felt rather than saw what was happening. The ancient technology wasn't just defensive. It was responding to our collective thoughts, our desperate need to fight back. Around the world, similar transformations were taking place. Mountains revealing their secrets, desert floors splitting open, ocean depths churning as dormant machines awakened. "They're trying to jam our communications," a technician shouted, but Dr. Chen only smiled. "This system doesn't rely on any technology they can understand," she said. "It's partially telepathic, partially quantum entangled. The more they try to interfere, the stronger our connection grows." On the monitors, General Zervex's expression shifted from confidence to confusion. The hegemony fleet was regrouping, abandoning their scattered positions to form defensive clusters. They were no longer attacking. They were reacting. For the first time, they looked afraid. Meanwhile, far from our facility, another drama was unfolding. Through the neural network, I could see through the eyes of other military personnel who had synchronized with the ancient system. A naval commander on an aircraft carrier in the Pacific watched as massive structures rose from the ocean depths, water cascading from surfaces that hadn't seen daylight in millennia. In the Siberian wilderness, a Russian captain observed forest floors opening to reveal launch platforms that made intercontinental missiles look like toys. "Who built all this?" I asked, overwhelmed by the scale of what I was witnessing. "An older military officer, General Watts, I later learned, stepped forward. We've only translated fragments of their message. They called themselves the Guardians. They visited Earth millions of years ago, recognized our potential, and left these defenses dormant until we evolved enough to use them. But why help us? I couldn't understand why an advanced species would invest so much in protecting another. Because they fought the hegemony too, Dr. Chen explained, and lost. What we're activating now is their legacy, their final stand against an enemy they couldn't defeat in their time. The neural interface suddenly flooded with tactical options, weapon systems beyond our comprehension, defensive capabilities that could withstand forces that would crack a planet. Through the collective consciousness of every linked military mind, strategies formed and evolved in seconds. Above us, SCIFI's flagship launched what looked like thousands of smaller craft, fighter drones designed to overwhelm any defense through sheer numbers. They descended toward our position like a metal rainstorm. They're desperate now, General Watts noted grimly. This is their standard tactic when facing unknown technology, saturation attacks to identify weaknesses. But even as he spoke, something emerged from the transformed mountain beneath us. Countermeasures that rose to meet the alien swarm. Not missiles or bullets, but something far more elegant. Glowing spheres that moved with impossible speed and precision, intercepting the alien drones and dissolving them on contact. Through the mental link, I felt someone else's consciousness surge forward. A fighter pilot from Japan, whose mind naturally grasped the aerial defense systems. The network responded, giving her greater control over the countermeasures. The glowing spheres formed patterns, herding the alien drones into clusters before eliminating them with devastating efficiency. General SCIFI's voice suddenly boomed through our communication systems. This changes nothing. You've merely delayed the inevitable. The hegemony has conquered worlds with defenses far greater than these relics. But there was something in his voice I hadn't heard before. Uncertainty. Dr. Chen turned to me, her expression grave. There's something you need to see. She led me deeper into the facility, away from the command center, down corridors that seemed to shift between human construction and the ancient alien architecture. We stopped before a massive door that hummed with energy. The Guardians left more than weapons, she said quietly. They left a warning. What we're facing now, it's just the vanguard. And what's coming next is why the Guardians went extinct. The door slid open, revealing a chamber bathed in blue light, and floating in its center was a holographic image that made my blood run cold, a map of our galaxy, with a massive shadow spreading across the stars, moving toward Earth. I stared at the galactic map, the shadow creeping across the stars like a cancer. What am I looking at? The hegemony calls it the void, Dr. Chen said, her voice barely above a whisper. The Guardians called it something that roughly translates to World Eater. It's why they built all this, not just to fight the hegemony, but to prepare us for what follows them. The hologram zoomed in, showing the shadow in more detail. It wasn't a single entity, but billions of smaller organisms moving together like a cosmic swarm, consuming everything in their path. Planets, stars, even the vacuum of space itself. Does General SCIFI know about this? I asked. Oh, he knows, General Watts said, entering the chamber behind us. The hegemony isn't just here to take our resources. They're running from the void. Each world they conquer becomes another buffer between them and extinction. As if on cue, the facility shook violently. On the neural network, I could see hegemony ships launching a coordinated attack on multiple Guardian sites worldwide. The ancient defenses were holding, but SCIFI was adapting quickly, identifying patterns, and exploiting momentary weaknesses. We need to consolidate our control, General Watts ordered. Everyone back to the command center. When we returned, the situation had escalated. The neural network was flickering, connections dropping as hegemony forces targeted humans linked to the system. Through the remaining connections, I saw Guardian installations under heavy assault, some already breached. They're learning too fast, a technician shouted. The system's defensive algorithms can't adapt quickly enough. Dr. Chen grabbed my arm. The Guardians designed this technology to work with human intuition, our unpredictability, our creativity. The system isn't failing. We're not using it correctly. She turned to address everyone in the command center. Stop thinking like soldiers following protocols. Think like humans fighting for your homes, your families. The system doesn't need perfect tactical decisions. It needs human instinct. Something clicked in my mind. I closed my eyes, stopped trying to understand the alien technology, and just reacted. Others did the same. Suddenly, the defensive patterns change, becoming erratic, unpredictable. The Guardian systems began responding with maneuvers no military strategist would recommend. But they were working. Hegemony ships, programmed to anticipate logical responses, found themselves unable to predict our chaotic, emotional tactics. Their formations broke apart as our defenses struck from impossible angles. Through the neural network, I connected with a former chess champion now serving as a military strategist in Europe. Together, we created feints within feints, sacrificing defensive positions to lure enemy ships into traps. Elsewhere, a demolitions expert from Brazil used the Guardian weapons like extensions of her own expertise, targeting structural weaknesses in the hegemony vessels that only someone with her background would recognize. For the first time, we pushed the aliens back, not just defending, but attacking. General Zervex's voice boomed through our communications again, but this time there was no mistaking the desperation. You primitive creatures cannot comprehend what you're interfering with. The void approaches, and only the hegemony's coordinated effort can prepare this sector for its arrival. Dr. Chen activated a direct communication line to Zervex's flagship. We've seen what your preparation looks like, General. Enslaved worlds stripped of resources, populations culled to manageable numbers. The Guardians showed us everything. The Guardians failed. Zervex roared. Their compassion was their weakness. They tried to save everyone and ended up saving no one. On the monitors, we watched as the hegemony fleet began a tactical retreat, pulling back to high orbit. But they weren't leaving. They were regrouping, forming a new configuration I hadn't seen before. They're linking their ships, General Watts said grimly, creating a single weapons platform. Through the neural network, I could feel the gathered minds of Earth's military personnel searching for a response. But the Guardian systems weren't designed to counter this specific tactic. The hegemony must have developed it after the Guardian's extinction. We need more power, Dr. Chen said, her fingers flying across control panels. We need to fully activate the entire network. The system's already at maximum capacity, a technician argued. Any more strain could cause catastrophic failures across the grid. Dr. Chen's expression hardened. There's another level of integration the Guardians mentioned, a full neural merge, not just connecting to the system, but becoming one with it. Temporarily, she added, seeing our alarmed expressions. Who ruled? General Watts began. I'll do it, I interrupted, surprising myself. I've already established the strongest connection according to the metrics. Dr. Chen studied me for a long moment, then nodded. It has to be voluntary. The Guardians were very clear about that. She led me to a chamber deeper within the facility, a perfect sphere lined with technology that seemed to phase between solid matter and pure energy. At its center floated what looked like a chair made of light. Once you're connected, you'll have direct control over every Guardian system on Earth, she explained. But the human mind isn't designed to process that much information. You'll have minutes, maybe less, before neural overload. I took a deep breath and stepped toward the chair. Will it be enough time? Dr. Chen's expression was unreadable. To stop the hegemony? Maybe. To stop what's coming after them? I don't know. As I sat in the chair of light, feeling it conform around me, the neural interface expanded beyond anything I'd experienced before. I could see through every Guardian sensor on the planet simultaneously, beneath oceans, inside mountains, high in the atmosphere. I could feel the hegemony weapons platform taking shape, energy building to levels that would devastate the planet's surface. And far beyond, at the edge of our solar system, I sensed something else. A darkness between the stars, moving faster than should be possible. The void had arrived earlier than even the Guardians had predicted. In that moment, with humanity's fate literally in my mind, I realized the terrible truth. Earth wasn't caught in a war between two alien forces. We were caught between two extinction events. Time slowed in my perception as the Guardian systems fully integrated with my consciousness. I could see everything. The hegemony's weapons platform seconds away from firing, Earth's defenses straining to respond, and at the edge of our solar system, the first tendrils of the void reaching toward Neptune. Two extinction events, two impossible choices. But in that expanded state of awareness, I suddenly understood what the Guardians had intended all along. The technology wasn't just a weapon. It was a communication system, connecting minds across vast distances, even across time. I reached out, not with weapons, but with thought itself. First to General Zurvex's consciousness, forcing open a mental connection his species had evolved to resist. See what I see, I projected into his mind. Feel what I feel. The alien general's shock rippled through the connection as he witnessed the void's approach through Guardian sensors. Not the vague threat his leaders had warned about, but the immediate terrifying reality. Mere hours away, not the years he'd been told. Your leaders lied to you, I said through the mental link. They'd been sacrificing worlds like ours to buy time while they search for a permanent escape. There is no preparation, only delay. I felt the conflict in his mind, centuries of loyalty warring with the undeniable truth I'd shown him. Then, decision. What do you propose? His thoughts came back to me. The Guardians didn't just leave us weapons, I answered. They left us the blueprint for something else, something they never had time to build. With a thought, I activated the final phase of the Guardian legacy, not destruction, but creation. Every installation around the planet began to reconfigure, energy patterns shifting from defensive to something entirely new. We need to work together, I told Zurvex. Your ship's linked with our Guardian network. The weapons platform you've built, it can be repurposed. Understanding dawned in the alien general's mind. Within moments, orders flashed across the hegemony fleet. Their ships, once poised to destroy us, began linking with Guardian installations, forming a planet-wide network of unprecedented power. Through the neural interface, I guided Earth's military minds and hegemony tacticians in an impossible cooperation. Together, we created what the Guardians had only theorized. A quantum barrier, not just around Earth, but the entire solar system. As the void reached Saturn, the barrier activated. The cosmic horror crashed against it like a wave against stone, its consuming darkness unable to penetrate the shield born from two enemy species working as one. It's holding, Dr. Chen whispered, watching the readings. But the power requirements, the strain on the Guardian systems, and on my mind, was catastrophic. Warnings flashed across my consciousness. Neural collapse imminent, power cores destabilizing. The barrier wouldn't last. That's when I felt them. Other minds joining the network. Not just military personnel, but civilians worldwide. Somehow, the Guardian technology had evolved beyond its creator's design, extending its reach to every human willing to help. Millions of minds linked together, sharing the burden that had been crushing me. And not just humans. Throughout the hegemony fleet, alien consciousness joined the network, creating a merged intelligence greater than either species alone. As I felt my body beginning to fail from the strain, General Watts pulled me from the chair of light. I collapsed, my normal senses returning with painful clarity. Did it work? I asked, voice barely audible. Dr. Chen helped me to a monitor showing the void retreating, unable to breach our combined defense. It worked. The quantum barrier is self-sustaining now. On the command deck, the unthinkable happened. General Zurvex materialized in person, the first hegemony leader to set foot on Earth. He approached slowly, his towering form less intimidating now that I'd been inside his mind. "Your species continues to surprise us," he said, mandibles clicking in what I now recognized as respect. "Perhaps we have been the joke all along, thinking technology alone brings superiority." As Earth and the hegemony began forging a true alliance against the greater threat, I looked out at the transformed landscape. No longer purely human, no longer entirely Earth, but something new, something stronger. The military of Earth had not just survived, we had evolved, becoming part of a greater defense, not just for one planet or one species, but for all life caught in the path of the darkness between stars.